Hey, what's good, everyone? Welcome to Ice Rink Diaries. Local Iceman here. And that is the fire alarm going off. No need to panic. You don't have to rush out of the building or anything. You can still finish the video. Late yesterday, someone hit a sprinkler pipe with a soccer ball. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, it could happen once every 3 years, and it could happen like 2 to 3 times in a month. So it's done it enough times where I got the routine down and know how to reset everything. So the first thing we need to do is go out there and inspect the sprinkler head. We'll probably switch it out. I got a box right here I'll show you real quick of the sprinkler heads. And so we'll go switch the sprinkler head out, then come back here, check the system if water entered the system or not. Fortunately, we were lucky and they got the system turned off, the water turned off before it hit the fields. So, but I'm not sure if I'm not quite sure what made them think they hit the sprinkler pipe. Our sprinkler pipes are a dry system, so the whole system is charged with air back to, say, the main sprinkler. I don't know exactly what I call it, the big flapper deal, the mechanism here and back. I'll get a technical name here for you at the end. But our system is charged with air back to that point where there's a big flap, and then it's with compressed air is on one side, then water is on the other side. If the sprinkler system is for some, I guess via fire or a soccer ball, if it's triggered, if it's just hit a little bit, like say with the soccer ball, let's say if it's just hit a little bit, the system could whistle out. I've come in one morning and the system's, or the sprinkler pipes is whistling, you can hear it whistling. So we're able to shut the water off, kind of depressurize the system, go up there and change that head and repressurize the system. So. And there's other times where it's been knocked right off. Like say, if, for example, if a fire, that little, and I'll show you here in a minute, the pin goes off, the soccer ball just hits it and it just hits the pin out and the thing opens up. It's just real quickly the system pressurizes with water and get a good portion of the field soaked with water in a pretty good amount of, in a short amount of time, I should say. So, even if once we get the water turned off, I mean, you have to open the drains up and stuff because there's so much pressure in there from that big pipe and everything that it continues to squirt out. And I'm going to mention real quickly, it's not what you see in the movies. You know, when the system goes off, not all the sprinkler heads go off. When I was told from the guys who come out and service the system every year, like 12 heads going like they have in the movies. I mean, they're not going to be going as you see in the movies. Obviously, you have pumps and stuff for dramatic effects, but that's not how a fire system works. When sprinkler head goes, when only one goes, unless for some reason the fire triggers other sprinkler heads, but they don't all go out once, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So let's go over here and check this box that I have of tools and our sprinkler heads. Right, I got my box of tools sitting here already to go change the sprinkler head. I brought the monkey wrenches along because sometimes these are pretty hard to get off if they've been up there for a long time. This is a sprinkler head wrench, as well as this one right here. But I bring these big guys along just in case one's rusty and you can't really get it off. Here's some thread sealant. We'll go ahead and make sure we mix that. And here's an example of a sprinkler head, and this is just a little, let me see if I can pop this off right here with one hand. So that's how it goes up there like that. That's just for storage. So this gets threaded on. You can see there's a little glass deal with some liquid in there. I can't, I'm not an expert in this stuff, so I can't speak a whole lot on it. But this gets threaded up there, and when a soccer ball hits it, let's see if I have an example of soccer balls hitting these things. So that's when a soccer ball hits it, and it just goes bang sideways, and it just takes that little glass vial out, and water just starts shooting out of there. And I don't think I have the little insert. This one's been partly hit by a soccer ball, and you can see that there's a little cap insert that prevents the air from coming out. So once that thing pops out, yeah, a lot of water comes rushing out of here. So let's go ahead and pack this stuff back up, and we'll go hit the lift, and we'll go ahead and change the sprinkler pipe. Well, we got a lot of things going on here. We got to make sure we clear this main header pipe. We got a light closed in right there. Oh yeah. I don't know how water did not enter the system because here, yeah, this is what got hit, and I don't know how water did not come out of this thing. Water should have came out of here. I don't know whether to question that or not. I think I should. I think that instead of me resetting the system, I'm going to have them come out and do it, because they need to find out why water didn't come out, because I think that's a big deal. All right, well, I was hoping to show you how to reset the fire system, but I'm not going to be able to do that today. I think it's a better call to have Commercial Fire come out here, which is a company that services our system, and find out why water didn't enter the system, because water should have definitely entered the system. If this thing was just cracked off a little bit, I could see, but we really should have had a huge mess in our hands, considering that thing was just completely broken off. So I'm gonna give them a call, and I'll give you guys an update what the scoop is and why the water didn't enter the system. If maybe, and he couldn't have gotten it off that fast. No. And maybe that water did enter the system and it just didn't reach this. But this really should have been, I guess I'm going to give him a call. It's still early to probably to call him. It's still right before 7. So let's go check the drains and see if there's any water in the drains. I don't see how water didn't get to this point. If there's water in the drains, that means the system did trigger, but he did get it off in time, I guess, which is surprising. I don't know how long would it take to pressurize this whole pipe already to this point. That'd be a good question to ask the fire guy, because imagine it would at least take a minute to pressurize this system, right? A lot of piping here. I'm gonna go ahead and replace this sprinkler head, because that's something I could do. I'm up here. That's one of the advantages of having a lift here. I would have had to rent a lift to come and do this. So I could get this part done here. That way, when they come out to inspect the system and reset it, it would be good to go. I didn't show you guys me taking off the sprinkler head, because I think that was just a waste of time. But I did have to use the big pipe wrench. So difficult because you're kind of high in the air and you're trying to push on something that's kind of above your head. So even climbing up on the lift, getting up there, it was a little hard to push when you have a wrench above your head. I'm gonna go ahead and screw that on. Let's go ahead and put this cap back on. It didn't do very much good. Maybe they do. Sorry, I got one hand holding the camera here. So this is one of the main drains on the header pipe, and the main header pipe runs on the low side, and the sprinklers kind of break off and go up over the field in the building. And this is like a condensation drain, because the system is compressed with air. So when air eventually will kind of, I don't know all the science behind it, but it'll condensate the water. So the water will make its way down to these traps here. So what you do, and on the other side, as it goes out the wall, there's a cap that I actually removed on the other side. And how I know if there's water in the system is like, I'll close this. If water is condensating in the system, I open that. I don't really hear anything. So, and if I open this, if there's water in the system, you hear it clunk, 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 clunk down here. So this tells me right now that the water at least didn't make it to this part. So this one stays open in normal operation. This one stays closed. Then you have your drain out there. That's where that drain taps off. The main header pipe, that one runs all the way down to the end of the building. Then the sprinklers kind of break off and go up. You see the other header pipe and it stops. Then this main header pipe runs these set of sprinklers up to the rest of the building. All goes all the way back to where the compressor room is. So that's what our next step is, check the drain and compressor room. This is our sprinkler system here. This one is the soccer side, and that one's for the ice side. And this is where the pipe goes to the field. Then that's the main flapper deal right there, where you have air pressure on this side and you have water pressure on this side. And when the air pressure goes, it opens up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the main water drain, which is this one right here. This is the main air drain. This is the main water drain. I'm going to see if there's water in the system. All right, after checking the drains, there's no water in the drains, and that sprinkler head was clear busted off. So there should have been water in the system. So let me go ahead and give these guys a call, and I'll come back here with some closing notes, let you know what happened and the final wrap-up details. Hey, what's good, everyone? Checking back in. Commercial fire. The fire expert guy came out, and yeah, he thought it was strange too that the system didn't trigger, but he thinks he got turned off too fast, or not too fast, but he turned off really quick before all the air got out. But the plug was, I don't know. Anyway, I'm at to the point where I'm gonna go around and make sure there's no water in the system. Then at that point, I'll start pressurizing the system, switching some valves and opening some other valves. So, but right now, I'm going around to all the sprinkler traps to make sure there's no water in the system. And I have this one right here that was in the soccer women's bathroom. I couldn't get the plug off right here. So as I was trying to get it off, the whole thing was unscrewing, and I had 2 wrenches on it. I just couldn't get this thing off. So I'm going to stick it in a vise, get this plug off. Then I'm going to go around and close all the drains that are open right now. There's a little bit of water in the system, not very much. Some condensation, a couple spots. There's a little more water, you know, a couple gallons of water that came out of this trap. So still kind of odd that it didn't trigger the water to go through the system, but he seems to think everything's okay. It was a little anomaly or something. I don't know. So the next thing I do is go in a compressor room and pressurize the system. But since it's not on there, I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to do. Then I'll go in there and do it. The thing we need to do is turn the breaker on to get the air compressor going. Then we'll go over and turn the fast fill valve on. Then that will start pressurizing the system. And I also want to double check the air valve in there and make sure that's closed. So once we kick the air compressor on, it'll take about 25 minutes for the system to pressurize. I'm going to do my ice cut. Then we'll come back, take a look at it, and see where it's at. Air compressor on. Double check the air valve is closed. Then I'm going to turn the fast fill line on. It's going to fill the system faster. And once I get it to 30 psi, I close this and let the pressure regulator take over. So it's going to build flow pressure. We'll let it do its thing while I do my ice cut. All right, I just got done with my ice cut. So let's go ahead and check the air compressor and see what the PSI is on the system. It's been about 20 minutes. The system's been pressurizing, so let's go ahead and check it out. I guess before that, we want the system to build up to about 32 psi. Then we'll introduce water into the system on the other side. Then we keep the air compressor should keep going to about 42 psi. Then we'll shut off. So let's go ahead and go in and see what the psi is on the air.
One eternity later.
All right, the system's almost done pressurizing. So we'll go in there, we'll turn the water on. So what's going to happen is basically, I'm going to check the PSI, then I open up this water piston valve. And what that does is that puts pressure on this flap deal, because right now there's air pressure on one side of this flap, and on the other side is water. Well, there's no water yet. So right now there's some air pressure keeping that flap closed, and there's a piston attached to that flap that you turn a water piston on, and water, you know, with water pressure in the piston, it keeps that flap closed. So when I turn the water on, that flap just doesn't flap open. So there's air pressure and a water piston. So when the sprinklers, all right, I was really interrupted there and edited that out, but I forgot where I was, man. So, and there's air pressure also keeping the flap closed right now, but once we just put the water on, the water pressure, I think, is a little bit greater than the air pressure when open the flap up. So there's a water piston valve in there to keep the flap closed. And once the system is triggered with a soccer ball or a fire, all the air goes out, then the flap opens and water comes up. So What I'm going to go in there and do right now is I'm going to make sure the system's at the correct PSI. Once we're there, then I'm going to turn on the water piston valve, open that up. Then there's a little thing I got to pull up because there's a little water bleeder valve for that too. So this water will start squirting to this little dish drain, and I'll pull this thing up to stop that. Then at that point, so I'll start opening up the water valve really slowly because I don't want a big rush of water to come there and trip the system. So you open the valve really slowly. It takes like 10-12 turns to get that valve open. And about halfway, I'll start closing the water drain because right at this point, the water drain's still open. So all the water is going to be diverted outside as I'm closing the drain. And once I get about 60-70% open on the water, then I shut the drain fully. Then I open up the water fully. So there's a point to where I'm closing the drain and opening the water at the same time, to the point to where I feel like the system is pressurized water enough to close the drain and open the water all the way. Then at that point we're done. Then we go up to the main fire panel and hit the reset the alarms, and then we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and go in there and see what the PSI is now, the air side. Hopefully it's getting close. All right, this is what Mark has to listen to all day. Last thing we need to do is reset the system. Right now it says 3 and 5. So what 3 and 5 is, 3 is the water flow and 5 is the tamper. If everything goes right. I gotta look at here. 1, enter. All right, that's what we're looking for. All right, this resets the fire system. That includes the tamper alarm, sprinkler alarm, as well as pulse switches. This one over here controls the whoopee noise and the enunciator system. And to reset that, we just flip that over this way. We're all clear. Water system's going. So hey, I'm gonna call the wrap right here. And like the local iceman says, stay cool. Ooh, silence is our virtue. I still have that whooping in my head though.